Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the
Sure you would.
February 27th meeting of the York City Historical Architectural Review Board. Roll call. Skian.
Present.
Zumbrum.
Present.
Schurmeyer.
Here.
McLean Gross is sick. Buffington
Here.
and Gifford.
Here.
Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? If so, can someone make a motion?
I wasn't here, so I can't.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Seconded.
Craig.
Paul, that's
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, I call for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
The ayes have it. Okay, we have no unfinished business.
No Teresa tonight.
So, new business. 287 West Market Street. Step up to the podium. And you can just describe the project for us.
Yes, how everybody doing? My name is Kevin Byard from Pecan Tree Cafe, restaurant on 287 West Market Street. We're a lunch and dinner restaurant, and what we're proposing to do is add a digital sign that sits below our existing sign there that sits on Newberry Street, right in the parking lot. And it's just a digital sign just to show pictures of food and advertisements and specials and discounts and different things like that. That's pretty much, what it is there. Similar to like the sign that you see like on the York High, the one they have below there, and it's the same thing. That's all that it is. And our existing sign that's there, we would like it has lights in it. We'd like to turn it on and just have it on, with our sign there. And that's pretty much it.
Would this be operating 24/7?
Well, it's digital, so when we leave at 9, it'll go off, but it'll go on like dusk to dawn. It has like the temperature and the time that's on there. The displays on there, so
Like a screensaver almost?
Excuse me?
Screensaver almost, like it'll just
Yeah,
hang out.
screensaver, right. So like as if, when people riding to work in the morning, they can see what we have coming up specials and the time and temperature, that type of thing. But other than that, that's all it is.
I think it looks good. Guys, I don't see any issue necessarily. I want to just bring up that the only concerns we ever kind of make a mention of with the digital displays is not to use animated images that are flashing too quickly for the drivers on the street.
No, we're not going to do this. It's just going to show just food items. Nothing's flashing, nothing like that. We're not going to
Fireworks.
use it for.
So it's going to be static images.
Right, it's just going to be like a picture of a plate of food or what we have in the day, today's special, or this week's special, or, and it show a picture of the food and maybe cost, and that's pretty much it.
And what's this sign underneath of it?
That's the digital sign. The sign that you see there, the Pecan Tree, that exists already. That was existing there.
Are you talking about the Philly cheesesteak sign?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean down below? Yeah, that's a Philly cheesesteak. Yes, that's what we specialize in.
That's just a sign that you have hanging up
Right.
normally. Okay.
Right.
It looks like it's sitting on the sidewalk.
No. That's the window. Can you hold that up so I can make sure I know what. Yeah, that's a window right there. When you see down the bottom,
Yeah.
that's the window there. That's images from in the window there, showing what we already have.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nancy, has this been cleared by zoning? Because it looks like a lot of signage on that.
He's got
Does.
permit, but he's on the corner, so you know that is the correct side.
Zoning has approved it.
Zoning has approved it in combination with the Pecan Tree and the Philly Cafe sign in the window below it, because all that is signage.
Yes, because he's allowed, because he's on the corner, he's allowed to.
Okay. Because I know of some instances, like when People's Bank moved it to Square here, and they're on the corner, they counted everything in their windows as signage, even though it was just graphic decals. Didn't say anything, and they had to reduce it.
I think it's too much signage.
What's this?
I agree with you. I think it's,
Yeah, I question as to why, but I guess if zoning's approved it, we're fine.
It's always HARB first, so he hasn't even gone through zoning yet.
We have argued about that
that's
time
the
and time
question.
again.
That's the question. We should not
It should
see an
not come to us.
application
It needs to go to
until
zoning
approves it.
We should not be deciding something that may not even meet zoning. Zoning comes first, and I've said that over and over again. It always was that way.
That's what I have been instructed, that HARB comes first.
No.
No, that's
I
not
make
correct.
a motion, we table this pending approval by zoning.
Second.
All right, can I respond to that? The dilemma I have here is that I have the digital sign, the company that I'm getting, that issued me the sign, has already shipped that sign there. I'm just going through when I came to go through zoning to get the permit, they told me that I had to come through the architectural board first to get a hearing of whether or not y'all were going to approve it.
And that's-
I could have went to zoning
And
and,
I'm sorry, but they're giving you misinformation. That's not the way it works.
We can't review something until we know that the size has been approved by zoning, because that's statutory.
correct.
We advise council after we know that there is a proposal that will meet zoning.
So-
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoning should always take the first action. They look at this, they make the measurements, they read the ordinance. The ordinance says you're allowed to have so many square feet of signage. Then it's given to the permits office. Permits office says, oh, it's in the historic district. Now it comes to HARB.
right, so, question,
Look at this, but hold on for just a second so I can pull up the ordinance, please, and then let me pull up his, because apparently.
The sign's 4 by 8, the proposed sign.
Yeah, and we're not.
4 foot by 8 foot.
It's not our job to even look at or interpret the zoning ordinance, Nancy. We just need the approval from zoning before it comes from us saying that it does meet the ordinance. Because when I look at this, I know from other instances in the city, even on the corner, like I said, the one that I'm most familiar with, because we worked on it years ago, and they came to us for, even though we don't do signage, questions about it, but it was the People's Bank thing. Help, we got to redesign our graphics. So, and that was just stuff they put in the window. See, they'll count what you have in your window, too. So that's
well,
why.
those things in the window can be removed. It's more important that I have the
Right,
sign that's outside. That's just what they call a decal, which I
Right.
can just go in there and take a razor blade and pull the decal off.
Right.
That was something that we used to allow people to know what we're selling inside, because
Right.
there's no signage. You can't put any sign. This sign is going to sit on Newberry side. On Market Street, we have no signage, but the signs, the little pictures of food that you have in the window. So if I don't have those pictures that's in the window that you see existing, how would anyone know what we're doing here? A lot of people come and say, what do you have here? What is this,
I
please?
understand that.
Okay, so we did, Monty has been off, so I can't say what he said about the sign, so, I know he did.
I guess that's not official yet.
As far as calculating.
So I find that hard to read. I just,
Can't
without
have
removing
10%
the
of
decals.
glass coverage. That's
Yeah,
separate.
I think you're right.
Affixed to the building.
I don't mean, it could be completely wrong, but it just looks like, till you take the pecan tree, you take the welcome, and then, the decals. And you might be able to say to her, well, we'll remove the decals in the windows. It seems like it's more signage than the new ordinance allows. So, and without some kind of official thing from them, we're approving something, I think we're going to have to make justifications for it, because these are becoming more and more prevalent.
They are.
And this is a non-historic, it's basically a non-historic facade of the building, So, I don't really object to it here, but I think we got to be cautious, because we get people then who want to plaster these things all over the front of the historic facades of historic buildings. And that's something, where this is a side that was originally covered by another building, and, faces a parking lot now. So I think, I don't have a problem with it in theory, but again, and I apologize, I mean, you're kind of caught in this administrative issue with the way the city has been running things lately.
Well, Mark, let's say we approved it. Will this physically go to zoning?
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, we're going to make a motion conditional on zoning approval, right?
Zoning has to approve it before I can issue a permit.
We have a motion that's been seconded
The table.
to table.
That's,
See, the thing is, zoning could come back and say, no, it has to be smaller, or no, it has to be,
and then that could change.
Right,
I
it could
understand what
change.
you're saying.
That's the whole
Or they
issue.
could say it's fine, but we don't know.
Signage always was one of the issues that always went to zoning. Everything always went to zoning first because it's a legal, zoning is a legal hearing board process. It's an ordinance, we're basically just an advisory board to council. So zoning is a much more complicated thing, so that's why, and much more legal thing, which is the way it's structured in the state, and that's why the state, it goes to zoning first.
And can he find out from zoning before our next meeting?
So.
They should give him that, yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean if he's meeting the ordinance, he doesn't have to go through zoning, okay? He has to do a zoning permit and a UCC permit, because it's going to have, it's bigger than a certain size, and it has electrical and everything like that. So if he fills out those permits first, and then let's say it says that it's the correct size, it's okay, he can get his zoning permit approved and the UCC permit approved. Now you're going through HARB, okay, and he's spent the money for both of those permits, or even if he didn't meet that and he had to go through zoning, and then now it comes to HARB, and you guys, I mean, you're not saying that for this particular one, but now it comes to HARB, and he's gone through either just doing the permits and went through, and everything went through, or it didn't meet the zoning requirements, and he's gone through zoning and got approval. Now, and then you're saying you're second, so now it comes to HARB, and you guys say, nope, I don't like it.
We technically should be approving everything at the construction document level, and that's been a problem. It was even a problem when the board was run right. We do, on request, we will do preliminary reviews, but the way the legislation and the ordinances were for HARB, and the way HARBs are being run, we are to be approving the final submission as to what is to be built, which is why zoning, civil engineering, land development, all that stuff, planning has to come first. We have been, historically, there's been an issue with this board approving stuff well before that, and then it gets changed. And sometimes it doesn't come back. Most of the time, it doesn't come back. And that is a real issue. It was a real issue when we had a consultant, but a lot of times when, in the era it was Historic York, it was caught. And they were sure that they got it as close to final documents before it came to us. But we're to be approving, basically, somebody should be bringing in the final construction drawings and saying, this is our permit set, this is what we're building, and that's what we should be approving on, not, the concept before that.
Zoning is a legal process. HARB is not.
Zoning
Zoning can accept the application, so noted, as it goes on to the building side. If zoning disapproves it because it does not meet the current standards within the ordinance for that district, for that building, then the applicant has a legal opportunity to appeal. The initial appeal would be to the zoning hearing board. If he loses at the zoning hearing board, he has a second legal appeal. He can go to court and can challenge the zoning hearing board's decision or can claim a hardship. But we never need to be involved in anything until it is ready to go to construction meaning that it's been fully vetted, fully approved by zoning.
So Steve?
And we can do preliminary reviews. I mean, we can count this as a preliminary review, and which is hence, we're providing our advice and, when it makes it through the process, then, we can table it and then we can vote for it. And we've done that in the past years ago, yes.
So Kevin, what they're saying is you're going to have to go,
Well, it's not been voted on yet, Nancy.
oh.
Yeah,
Well, I
I'm
thought
sorry.
it was. Well, it would made a motion and seconded, okay.
Call for a vote?
So we're voting on tabling it.
Tabling it pending, approval by zoning,
I
yeah.
have it that Mr. Schermeyer made a motion to table until zoning approval, and Mr. Zumbrun second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
And I think from a preliminary review standpoint, we can say that zoning approves it, we'll approve it.
So you'll have to go on OpenGov, you're going to have to put in a zoning permit and a UCC permit. And it'll go through the process, and Monty will let you know with the zoning permit if it meets, if it meets the zoning standard. If it does not meet what the zoning ordinance is saying, once you measure it and go through all that, then you'll have to file a zoning appeal.
Okay, so if zoning approve it, do I have to wait for another meeting like today? I got it,
So, but if when you fill out the applications, both of those permit applications, if it meets zoning, then that process won't take that long, and you can come back to, I think, March 13th is the
Yeah,
next.
this board meets twice a month, so
But if it has to go through zoning appeal, then you're not going to go until May's meetings, because the cutoff is the first Monday of the month prior, for the next month's meeting.
okay, so who I have to meet with in zoning?
You just have to, you'll put in the applications, and if Monty stops it, that it doesn't meet the zoning approval, then they will let you know. They'll let you know that you'll have to file an appeal. Well, there's messages on there, and every time somebody touches that, after you put the permits in, you're going to get an email and say, zoning officer, put a message in there, something to that effect, and then you go in and see what the message is, and you can contact him. Okay?
All right, so I can come and meet with Monty to fill out the permit, pretty much.
No, you do that permit online.
Online, I'm sorry. online.
Yeah, just do the
Zone.
permit online, and if it goes through, then that means it met everything through zoning, and you just have to go through the zoning permit process. Then once you are successful with that,
Right.
then you can come back, we'll put you back on the agenda to come back through HARB.
All right, okay, thanks a lot. Is that it?
That's it,
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Thank
We'll
you.
let you know, I mean, to put the process, okay?
All right, thanks.
15 East Philadelphia Street.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Great.
This is the current building that's at the southwest corner of East Philadelphia Street and George Street. Project is to subdivide this section of the building from the remainder of the tract. This is the manufacturing building. The concept is to put an addition on top of it. There's really a nondescript building. Unless the board disagrees, I don't think there's anything historically significant about the building. The proposed project is to do 4 commercial spaces on the bottom floor, 21 apartments above, 4 stories in the rear, 3 stories in the front. Finishes the commercial storefront glass on the commercial space. The corners of the new addition would be storefront, floor-to-ceiling glass, James Hardy panel, board, cementitious board, fry reglet, trims. Probably be easier if I show you this final design. So we're keeping what's on the bottom. The It's basically an existing shell, extremely stout, robust, lots of steel. We've had our engineering team through the building, so we vetted this out. It's in design. This will be the final design, the CDs. This is exactly what we'd like to build. And I think we did a good job going through Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, where the new work shall be differentiated from the old. Even the York, I believe it's the York City guidelines for HARB, designing a new addition in a manner that makes clear what is historic and what is new.
Could you bring it up here a little closer?
Sure.
Okay, so,
So the columns that project out closest to the intersection, that's hardy, like?
Yeah, this is
What's
all
yellowish? Yeah.
James Hardy.
And what's the dimensions of that material, would you say? I mean, roughly?
They typically, they'll come out in 4x8 sheets, and we'll cut them, they'll be 2x4, 2x2. Typically, you want to stick with an exact dimension like that.
and so, this is also the project.
Yes, yeah, the existing building, this is actually a 27-foot clear story roof.
Okay.
Has cranes inside. It was the old, I guess the newspaper used to print.
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
building. And this is existing in the back, so this is about a 16-foot high ceiling, and this is a 27-foot high ceiling.
Okay.
So because of the difference in elevation, that's why we were gonna do 4 stories in the back and 3 in the front. And actually, the basement is 11'6" floor to floor. So the idea on the back, there's docks. We're gonna remove the dock, cut in an opening to have parking underneath the building. So there would be 15 parking spaces under the building.
And those, the vertical elements along George Street, what?
These yellow ones?
No,
That's on Philadelphia Street, you mean?
this is George, right?
Right.
Yes.
So these materials, what are they?
The orange and the green
Is
vertical.
that
This is existing brick.
brick, right,
Right.
but
So
then,
we're gonna run the brick up. just to tie
it looked like
to-
brick, yeah, and and then you have a couple of other vertical elements there that are yellow, green, whatever. Is that
That would be
steel?
James Hardy.
That is
again.
covering steel or just
No, that'll be wood frame.
wood frame?
Yeah. This will be a wood frame on essentially a podium design.
And then in the back, again, brick again?
Back here.
Underneath, right there?
Yes.
Brick up, okay,
Yeah, so all the brick here is existing.
yeah,
This would be new, and this would be new,
right.
just to tie together
Mm-hmm,
the
yeah.
two components.
And the view facing north, right around the corner there,
On the alley.
that's similar design?
Same materials.
Okay.
Yep.
And are these just like random changes in color?
There's 3 different colors, and
I mean, these are light.
one's like a sandstone, and the other 2 are darker.
And they're just random? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
It's like an artistic statement or?
pretty much. A lot of this concept came from, I spent some time doing consulting out in Columbus, Ohio, and you see a lot of this construction out there. And I thought it would fit really well.
And then are there balconies inset there, and that's where the aluminum railing's going to go?
Correct. Yeah, I brought samples if the board wishes to see samples.
It's basically a flat fiber cement panel with and from the stuff that he submitted with a metal reveal system that holds it into place. It should age a lot better than the other building in the district, which didn't work so well, is the Peril one at George and College on College Avenue.
I was thinking about that.
And that has the fiber cement panels, but it has a fiber cement batten applied to the outside, and it doesn't, it kind of, water gets behind them and they pop off.
Right.
Yeah, where this is meant to handle that
This is
better.
a system.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a system. So these are the cement boards, these are the fry regular panels or metal trims.
Right.
And they have dozens of different profiles.
Yeah.
You could do double horizontals, slim look, more robust look.
I don't have any problem with the proposal.
No, I think especially on the Philadelphia Street side, it does well with dividing everything into about a 20-foot, 15 to 20-foot rhythm with bays. I think it loses a little bit of that on the George Street side, but I think especially the Philadelphia Street side kind of works, with the rhythm of the facades up and down the block. You're kind of segmenting it and then varying it. George Street's a little more contemporary, but, what's your thoughts on it? Since the other architect is at the other end of the
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not supposed to do a false sense of history, and it's on a, basically, it's on a non-contributing 80s building that, the only way that made it through HARB at the time, though I wasn't around then, but I think I remember vaguely, the press was that the dispatch said, you either let us do what we want or we're going to leave town, which they eventually did anyway. So council overrode it, basically. It's how that
Certainly.
thing got built.
I think there is an element of this, without wanting to sound too particularly critical, I think there's an element of, I've seen this building before, and it does in different places, and it does in different cities.
It's a
I've
very-
designed this building before.
It's a very contemporary, it's a way apartment.
It is.
But then it's a statement, it's a statement of.
And I do know further up on Beaver Street, there's another one of these with almost a very similar volume, similar sort of four-story approach, similar sort of, blocky is harsh, it's not blocky in a sort of negative way, but it has a very similar aesthetic. That's all I can say about it. I don't think we should be trying for historic mimicry necessarily. It's not what we need to be doing.
No, we're not supposed to, right. So it's whether, the question is whether it fits contextually.
Certainly. Volumetrically, I think you made the point that it does, there is a rhythm to it that does tie to the historic facades on the block. My one comment is perhaps on the detail level, if there's something that's more reflective of, you could already say this is representative of an industrial aesthetic, but there is, maybe if it's an exposed steel profile somewhere, maybe it's a fry regulate detail that is a particularly strong defining profile in one area. I'm just trying to think about something that might break that up, but that is a very design critical sort of comment, which we don't typically.
Right.
Well, I think those two brick vertical elements do that, or achieve that. It reflects their older building without mimicking
The question
older building.
for us, does it fit
And then in the back.
the question for us, does it fit the context of the historic district without creating a false sense of history? So, is it certainly is of its time. It's it's designed with materials of today. It's, I think the Philadelphia Street facade is done in a way that's not is working with the facades up and down the block. You have about that 15, 20-foot bay kind of.
It's not a poorly designed building, is the
Correct.
thing. It's well designed. It's in proportion to itself. I'm just wondering about the character of the district, of the area.
Approved a similar expansion on West Market a few years ago.
Murphy and Dittenhafer.
Murphy. and-
Yeah, no, that's up and behind a historic
It's a little bit
facade.
up and behind.
Right, and the colors are more
The
subdued.
panels are metal.
Right.
Not-
Are they metal or are they?
That was the zinc paneling in the elevator tower for the Lafayette Club, correct?
No, he's
No,
talking
this
about
is-
Woolworths.
Oh,
yeah, up top.
Yeah,
Apartments that were
I know they
created
spec
over-
Vespa panels, but they couldn't
Over the
afford it.
Woolworths.
Because, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
you work at that office.
Yeah, I watched it get
Value engineered.
Yeah, yeah. Some expensive Italian, yeah, I don't know what Vespa's made out of, but nobody around here can afford them. So anyway, yeah, so, yeah, you don't get spec'd. I mean, like I said, it certainly is, it certainly is an architectural statement that I think parts of it work with the context. The yellow is a bit,
Yeah, I think that's the only
that's
thing that.
probably the only thing
makes
that's,
it
and I almost don't want to, that it jumps out at it, but that isn't, you don't see in the district is a screaming yellow like that.
I would prefer it was a little less, a little more.
How married are you to the yellow?
I'm married. I just,
It was toned down a little bit.
yeah, I mean,
If it was, most of the colors within the district are very, because they're all historic natural building materials, all earth tones. You have some early 20th century facades or re-facades of buildings, like the AAA building, I think, was it Rheinberg Shoes or whatever? You have the green vitrolite glass on North George, it's just up at the other end of the block. But still, they're toned down colors. And those are certainly modern facades of their day, and they work contextually. And so this isn't a whole lot different. Maybe if the yellow was toned down, to
Yeah, I
some
mean,
other, you could still use some other color, but even if it was a slightly toned down yellow.
You can see pastels almost, like on
Yeah.
the street, like a pastel color that's just as light, that pops in many of the same respects, but it's softer, it's
And all
desaturated a little
all
bit.
those early 20th century modern facades that, 40 years ago, people wanted to tear them off because they didn't like them, and now they're historic in themselves. They're more subdued colors.
okay.
They're really, they're not like the old brick and, wood facades, but, and they are, that area is equivalent to this. But again, the colors are more, a little more subdued.
Okay.
You might be able to put some pops of the yellow in there, but maybe less of it would be
Okay.
my only thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the building that's there right now is an anomaly.
Oh, I think this improves it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I mean, it would be exciting to see this instead of that. And it also restores some of the height of the previous buildings that went the whole way to the corner,
Right.
which you've lost, which, you have almost, when you tear down these buildings that are on the streetscapes, you lose, the feel almost becomes suburban and not urban. I mean, all up and down George Street, they were that height at one time. Yeah.
This is the.
With all these setback suburban buildings, and, you lose that whole urban feeling.
In Philadelphia.
Change of use.
Yeah,
Continues.
like where CGA was and all that was all a four-story cast iron facade, and it was,
If it without, we're not advising anything that breaks your budget or changes it even necessarily, but
really just the color.
But yeah, I mean, if it were possible for your architect to work something in that exposes some steel element, some metal element, some part of the infrastructure, just something that, this is an industrial district. You're adjacent to the previous site of the Farquhar Agricultural Works, which was just a massive industrial center. So you have a lot to kind of key off of. If you can pull that off, that's maybe my one design suggestion, but it's not going to make or break it because of what we've already brought up,
Yeah.
Are you suggesting like the full height glass in the corners of those apartments, just have steel that's showing through the glass?
Potentially. I mean, there again, without telling you how to design your building, there are elements of industrial aesthetic that exposed steel can hit on very quickly and simply and without breaking the bank.
Okay.
There are as well panel materials that reflect a kind of rusted I don't want to say the Taco Bell stuff. That's a little bit too much. That's a little bit too much. Yeah.
Things like, what is it, Seagram's and, like Misa's aesthetic and, exposing the steel, and then they figured out real fast, well, you couldn't really do that and meet even the rudimentary fire
Yeah.
codes they had then. So they glued fake steel columns on the outside or
Yeah.
fastened them to it to express the steel.
So it snowballs.
So you could do that. But anyway, yeah,
I think
that's, yeah.
I think Didenhafer did something similar up the block a little bit.
The Kodo, yeah.
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 So instead of the yellow, you're recommending a pastel? Any,
You could do even a more toned down yellow panel. You got to watch some of those colors because of the way they age. Now, I assume, are you getting the Hardy panel that's pre-made in that color, or are you painting it that color?
pre-painted.
Pre-made in that color.
Yep.
So that'll probably have some kind of guarantee. But you got to worry about your reds, and some of those colors fade out.
Yeah.
And the more subdued you get, the better they will probably age on you. Yeah. But I will say, I do think that this system,
That's going to get a lot of sun
yeah,
on the George
yeah,
Street.
you're facing south and west, so it's going to get a lot of sun.
Sure.
I do think this system, this reveal system ages better than that batten system like was used on the College Avenue project. I mean, that is just, not successful, I guess is the easiest way to say that, yeah. Yeah, its maintenance is not good, because I've gone by and seen the panels off of it already. The wind comes by and tears them off. So, and that's your big thing, water penetration and everything else. But yeah, I would think I think if there was a different color, even if you used a yellow and you looked at the yellows on and again, is it Reinenberg's? Was it Reinenberg's shoe there on South George?
I believe so,
Which is a more toned down yellow, which is
I think that's green.
Reinenberg's,
no,
yeah.
the one across the street, diagonally
The HARB
across the street
building,
from there is
the HARB building is like a tarnished copper
Yeah.
green.
Yeah.
Reinberg's is like a gold gray
goldish.
almost.
AAA is a
yeah.
ochre-ish color.
Desert sand, yeah.
It's kind of a sandy color. I mean, you could go more even in that range
Okay.
of colors and see what they have.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do we want to know tonight the color?
I think we could approve it pending alternative submissions for the yellow color, and that could be done through staff review. They could just say, here's our options, and we would like to go with this, and
Thought we weren't allowed to address
We're
color.
not allowed to discriminate on.
we are. We do address color on permanent materials.
On
Not on paint.
factory finish stuff like
This is factory finished stuff like roofing, window systems, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Brick.
No.
Yeah. Anything that's painted, no. And they used to say that HARB boards can do that, it's just this one never did, because paint's considered an impermanent material.
Right.
It can be removed.
It can, yeah, it would be, and it has a 10-year, 20-year lifespan, and you paint over it. Whereas any kind of material, I would assume you don't want to be painting this in 20 years. Yeah, it was the whole idea of doing the pre-finished material.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think I could make a motion, we approve the application as submitted pending alternative submission for substitutions for the yellow colors.
Can we talk about the windows before you make a motion?
Sure.
The windows that I suggested in the application were MI laminated. I don't know if, since the corners are floor-to-ceiling storefront glass, that's what I suggested. I wasn't sure if the board was going to be.
You mean laminated glass or laminated?
Basically a vinyl window, but laminated. So
Oh.
you could have a white vinyl window, as you know, extruded in different colors.
Right.
Or laminated.
Yeah, if you just wouldn't have said the word vinyl.
Right.
The is the laminated window, is it a composite material or is it a vinyl?
still vinyl, but it's a baked-on finish.
Okay.
So that would be, my goal would be to use that, because even from a maintenance perspective, those are tilt windows. They're easier to work with. I think they operate better. Have alternatives if the board isn't.
Well, there's certainly a higher quality. I mean, they would have to be for the exposure.
My concern with vinyl always is when you have a southern exposure in this climate, I have never seen a vinyl window not fail after 5 years. That there's just so much expansion and contraction, and the hardware fails. It, rips out, the screws rip out of it.
Even the developer that, of the building that I'm in used vinyl windows because of the cost back 20 years ago, and this is Monarch Mills building, and they failed.
That's a south-facing facade, right?
Yeah, anybody who wants to open them, they fail. So, and, the manufacturers tell you but they're getting better, but I remember the condo board approved a few years ago and looked at alternative replacement options for people who have to replace their windows in the units. So yeah, and that was, that's the problem with vinyl windows.
And did they replace them?
Some people have, yeah.
My question would be that since this is not a historic replacement, it's modern, do we even have a say on that?
We can only advise against the use of them, I guess, right? But we can't require.
Right.
Yeah, there was a non-vinyl window thing in historic districts, but these have a different kind of finish and look to them, and they're certainly a higher quality.
These are not historic windows.
Yeah. So I don't know that I have I don't know that I have an objection to it.
Except for a precedent.
Well, again, you're not talking about a vinyl window in a historic facade.
Right.
You're not talking, you're talking about
I get it.
they have to be a higher quality for those exposures and sizes. There has to be a more, but of course you said the big ones at the corner those are storefront, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, because you couldn't really do that at all.
Apartment windows.
Okay. Now, will those other,
Assuming, is that a correct statement?
Excuse me?
You're just talking about the apartment
The
windows?
single windows. Yep.
Yeah.
will they blend with the
Yeah.
storefront windows?
Well, the storefront will have a different frame, probably
Yeah.
anodized aluminum.
Okay.
Definitely match what the commercial spaces are. The single windows are going to match or be in the same color family as the panels.
Okay.
James Hardy.
Did you give us a submission of the windows you're looking, and what were your options? Because there's there's the Conair curtain wall. There's the Fry Reglet trims.
I know we spoke about previous projects, the Anderson 100 series.
Yeah, it's the 100th of Fibrex and Fibrex.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and we've improved fiberglass, we've approved all sorts of composite kind of windows. One of those might last you longer. I mean, I don't know, I'm not familiar with, and there isn't a submission here of the one you're proposing.
It was in the packet, though.
Yeah, that they gave it to us. So a lot of the reveal systems, there's railings. There's the Conair, but that's your typical storefront stuff, that's no problem.
My printer is that's the MI.
Okay,
This is the Anderson 100.
okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Anderson 100. And the MI is probably, I mean, depending on what the profiles and all here, for what they look like, I mean, for the board, you're probably not going to notice a real difference between the Anderson 100 and these. And it's used in a contemporary manner. Do you save that much more in money using the vinyl with the baked finish?
Might work out to $100 to $200 a window.
Okay. Yeah, you got enough windows. Yeah, they're contemporary framing and hardware, so they're going to look like a contemporary window. They're not going to look like what the one objection is to the vinyl windows in historic buildings where they don't look, and they're thicker and the profiles are all wrong. And you know, this is going to look like it's probably going to be a profile similar to the storefront, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to look very similar to the adjacent windows. I doubt if you're going to know there's a difference between that and the Conair. What color are your frames for the MI?
For the MI, they're on the back of that paper. We would pick one that matches
Excuse me.
panels.
Okay.
Well, the frame's going to match the panels,
Yes.
so you're going to have different colored
I won't have
frames.
3 color frames. I would have 1 color frame. 3 color panels, but 1 color window frame, just
Okay.
because of what they offer.
Okay.
We would pick the one that most closely meshes with the facade.
I can't read what this says.
Yeah, you'd have to look
Those
at,
type of colors.
you'd have to look at the samples of the, you know, the materials that we cut out.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
possibly. I don't know what these other panels are. You know, what color the panels are, but yeah, it's going to be similar to that. Those panels look like earth tone kind of things. I mean, I don't know that I have a problem with the MI window with the big finish. I mean, what's your thoughts, Craig?
I don't know if you're holding the building for a number of years, but I really,
You're
if
still
I were you,
considering
I would not use vinyl. I just, I think for the extra 100 or 200 a window, you're going to save yourself lots of headaches.
I'd make a motion that we approve as submitted with a recommendation on changing the color of the yellow accents to something less
And we
vibrant.
see another submission for a substitution for the yellow. And then what about the windows?
I don't have a problem with the windows. I mean, in my mind, it's not a historic building. It's not trying to emulate historic. I mean, it's a design decision.
And the vinyl windows are going to look like a contemporary window. But again,
Yeah.
I think the advice would be really consider using the Anderson.
Okay, I'll amend it to say with the recommendation to use the Anderson
Yeah,
windows.
but we would accept the MI if that's, the way you choose to go. And just don't use that word vinyl.
Right?
If anybody asks you what kind of window you put in there,
I didn't want to be misleading. But from here forward,
they're a composite material.
And maybe I'm misspeaking here, guys, but you'll have to go through zoning separately for the signage? Is that on the side of the facade there?
Yeah, and a lot of times that's come back to us. You know, we'll approve the concept, but when it comes time for your signage,
The
you would
actual
have to come back to
Final
us.
design, yeah.
They had to do that on what's the one on South George Street, the factory building that Wellspan's in now,
Yeah.
with that big, because they had originally proposed a whole wall of,
Fox Bakery building.
No, that's on the north
was the
side.
glass,
Yeah.
was it Glassmeyer or Glassmeyer or whatever had it?
That was where the Carl's newsstand was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
diagonally
okay,
across
yeah.
from the auto dealership. It's like 4 stories.
Yes, yeah, it was a sewing factory.
Yeah, it was a sewing factory. They had that whole facade, because New Tech did that, is the blank wall as you're heading south. They had that whole corner as signage, and I think they had to, we looked at it and conceptually approved it, but they came back to us then when they finally went through zoning. So I think, the signage is, conceptually I'm fine with it, but again, zoning may have a different say on it, you probably have to come back with that.
Then for the commercial spaces, the raised letters for the stores, you're conceptually okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with the raised letters of
Yeah,
the
it
brick.
fits
I
in
just
with
think they
the-
may say it's too big, but yeah.
I meant for the actual stores, like one section.
Talking the lots off Philadelphia.
Oh, let's see the thing. I think I saw when I looked at the rendering
You
online.
look like the stuff you'd see in a shopping center.
Yeah,
And just don't put
Oh, I see what you're saying.
self-illuminated signs. You know, no lighting from inside the sign.
Yeah, like a box sign.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't want to do that. I'd rather do letters.
Okay.
If there's a name, like have the name written out, like letter by letter.
Okay.
It looks classy.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't do internally illuminated box signs.
sure.
I mean, unfortunately, yeah.
Project more stuff onto the sidewalk. That's a cool one.
Yeah, I think we'll just leave that at the building.
We even made the History Center put one up and hasn't turned it on because their architect missed that warehouse.
Who?
Warehouse when they did that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was-
The center has an internally illuminated sign up.
No, I know all about
That was
it.
a big, yeah. Oh,
Right,
were you still
yeah.
at warehouse when that shit hit the fan?
Yeah, I was at the desk next to the PM who was managing that job and talking to Joan every day.
I suggested to Joan that warehouse donates a proper replacement. And she just smiled at me, because everybody donates to the History Center, so just give them a donation to pay for the sign that meets.
No guarantees on the message that the sign says if they donate something. I'll say that.
It didn't go anywhere, so maybe we suggested the new executive director. Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't resolved that yet. Anyway,
I'll second the motion to approve the application as submitted with the exception of a resubmission on the hardy plank panel colors and a recommendation to consider the Anderson 100 series windows.
That's the motion that's on the table?
Right, and I seconded it.
Okay.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, I call for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Ayes have it.
Do we
So then
give you
just-
direction? Do we give you enough direction?
Yes.
so I guess then for the panels, just submit to Nancy and, when you have your color options, and
Okay,
we can just do that.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yep.
Did Harrison have anything to do with this?
Yeah.
From Portugal?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah. He'll be back stateside for this one.
okay. So what happened on West Philadelphia? I'm just nosy. You had an application a few years ago for apartments.
That was a big project for me.
It was very big,
I
yeah.
had investors lined up for that one. As the rates started to climb, the investors got nervous. So learning lesson for me to do projects on my own.
Yeah. Do you still own the property? Do you still own the property?
No, Royal Square to the back, and I'm not sure the status now. I know they started work there.
Life Path is fundraising.
Life Path, yeah.
Win there, yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that the one that got the Pewterex building? on
Yeah,
it
the
got
Pewterex
demolished?
part was torn down because Life Path would do eventually another building to the rear.
Yeah.
But Life Path is in the fundraising stage to move their shelter from, actually, I guess it's the one from Market Street that goes over
Yeah.
there, but they have a couple of shelters and I get it confused, but yeah, yeah. So the whole thing would be rehab for that in addition to that.
Unfortunate, but that's the
Yeah.
way it went.
Understand.
I think this is a great project.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's, yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that it?
Who we got back here?
Are we adjourned?